The following video is brought to you by the guys at the Wrecking and Racing Podcast, a NASCAR podcast made by the fans for the fans. Check them out at www.wreckingandracing.com, facebook.com/wreckingandracing, and Twitter at Wrecking and Racing. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome to the finale of the 2019 season here in NASCAR Racing 2003 Season 2019 mod. We are fighting Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch and Brandon for the championship here at the Homestead Miami-Dade Motorsport Racing Complex Facility Tire Loop Center and Gift Shop, and we are just one race away from a possible third consecutive championship, although Kyle, Denny, and Brandon are all right beside me. In fact, Kyle is starting on the outside of the front row, gumming down the straightaway here, and green flag is out. And we might run the middle line. The bottom is quick, don't get me wrong, but the car is really loose on entry if you try to go down low, but Brandon's giving it a shot, and he's a little loose down there and really scraping that track bar. As you can see, we'll get the run on the high side outside of Hamlin. Brandon blocks to the bottom, and we've got a head of steam, but we'll have to go in on the high side. Really loose, as you can see us fighting and sliding into turn 3 and 4 for the first time. Once these pressures build, the car will come up to us. Great run off the line under Brandon, and eyes out front to Kyle Busch. That was a pretty good setup, and now we're here on the bottom trying to pick up the throttle. Brandon is still scraping his left rear, as we can see in the mirror right behind Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski. Now Kyle looks, bobbing, weaving. We can possibly get under Kyle, but Brandon is there peeking to the outside as well. Kyle looks to the inside of Brad. We can fill that spot, force Kyle up top. Brandon will turn down to the bottom. He's got a very good handling car if he can just turn down from the high line like that. A little bit of a shove going into turn 1. We will slide up in front of Brad. The right rear will catch, but Brandon carries all of that speed on the bottom. We'll see if the high lane prevails for us here, and indeed we do. So we might run the Kyle Larson line. I mean, right up by the wall is Trixie, and I tried it in practice and did not have the same results as old Kyle Larson might. But Brandon gets that run on the bottom. We fight back on the high side. So if we stick in the second to third groove, we should be okay here, right where those where the tires have left their mark, but we were a little bit high there. Can't really get that bite, but Brad's still fighting, and there is the other two championship contenders right behind us with Denny and Kyle, and even Kyle Larson sticking his nose into this fight, as he is usually good at Homestead, and Brad is trying to put us 3 wide. We'll get that run off the turn 4 down the front stretch and actually clear Brandon. Feeling pretty strong here, but we will have to make a pit stop this race, and pit road is very tricksy in order to get down to speed and not spin out. In practice, both Brandon and myself had some issues getting down to pit road, so we'll see at about the halfway point of this race how things unfold for us. That is, if a caution doesn't come out, but in the few years that Brandon and I have been running this track, I think there've only been 1 caution. That was the first year that he and I raced together. There was that caution while we were on pit road for the 2000 mod. Brandon fighting on the bottom here. He should get a solid drive into turn 3, and if he picks up the throttle early, he will clear us off the corner. We drift up top, trying to carry all that speed, put Brandon to the lead, and those guys behind us seem to have really lost a lot of speed, dropping back. I don't know if they're saving tires or, you know, if their car is just falling off, but Brandon and I are still really close, and this is the battle for the championship right in front of us by a few car lengths. I think it'll come down to the wire here, and if there are no yellows, even lap traffic may prove a factor as it did last year. That was a solid run down turn 4. If we can arc it and diamond the corner just like that and get that pull down the straightaway, we'll be able to stay within striking distance here. And those poor folks behind are really dropping back. But one good thing, no lap traffic in the windshield, so we're not catching anybody just yet. I have a feeling after pit stop cycle through, we might be on the back bumper of some of them, and that is the question of what we are going to do as far as tire strategy is concerned, because we do have to pit for fuel before this race is over. So if we split the race in half and take right sides, that's probably the fastest way to do. If we were feeling bold, we could go on no tires and just fill up. It all comes down to you know, how the car is handling at the point of pitting. And we have left those poor schmucks in the dust. I don't know what their lap times are looking like, but they're definitely not holding, which is a shame. I'd like to see Denny and Kyle a little bit closer. That way you could throw all 4 championship cars under a blanket. But if I have anything to say about it, Brandon won't get too far in front of me, but he does have a very fast WreckingandRacing.com podcast Toyota out front. And we're hooking the bottom very well. Tires have come into their own. I mean, it's still a little loose, but certainly not as loose as it was to start. We've tightened up nicely. But, you know, when it comes to lap times, Brandon and I are usually between a tenth apart from each other, even a few hundredths apart from each other. So, you know, unless one of us makes a mistake, we're not going to get away from each other. Which, at this track, it is entirely possible. You throw pit road into the mix, that is possible as well. And I mean, the lapped cars, if they take a bad line, or you know, they take away your fast line, we'll be right there as we were in Texas. But his setup is extremely aggressive. He's grinding both sides. It's like his splitter is just dragging the racetrack the entire corner. And I mean, in theory, he should be pushing like a dump truck, bottoming out like that and making the car just plant. But he is getting down on the power. That was a better turn 4 for us. If there was one end on the racetrack we could be better on, or want to be better on, it's definitely 3 and 4 coming down to the line. Oh, that was a much better turn 1 and 2 for us here. Knocking on the back door less than a car length now. We'll see if we can put some pressure on him here, see if we can force a mistake. Brandon usually doesn't make mistakes. I don't know if he watches his mirror close or if he just drives and makes me make the pass. So we'll stay right here, sort of get out of his mirror just a little bit, see if we can force him to go up a little higher, maybe hook that bottom. But he got good drive off there, and you can see where the difference is. Just a few miles an hour difference on corner exit is all that separates us here. We'll keep that left front down, and Brandon coming down to pit road. Let's do the same. We'll take a wider arc, get the car straight, and 3,000 in second gear. I believe we're going to take right sides. The rest of the field did not pit, so this is your halfway mark, and we're taking a big gamble here, hoping that the caution does not come out, or if it came out right now, everyone would pit in front of us, we would complete our stop, and we would be in the catbird seat. So here we go, boys. Right side tires. Let's go. Right sides are on, down and away. We both leave identically. And away we go. And Brandon got a really good launch out of pit road. Maybe he dropped it down into first gear to get that launch. But we'll stay within shouting distance. Car's really loose on the bottom, and once again, we will be fighting a very loose race car once we get up to speed. But that is the entire pack around us. And I don't think these guys are a lap ahead, but we are getting our lap back from them. We want this thing to cycle through, and you can see pretty much single file the rest of the way. It really comes down to who gets through these cars better. If, pitch and catch going into turn 1, letting the car slide out. If Brandon gets through traffic a little bit better than we do, he's going to start to gap us. If he gets held up, we might start to reel him in. And it's going to come down to a game of inches here. And as these laps tick by, we need to be very mindful of the cars on pit road. Brandon looking to the top and then to the bottom of the 38 there of Tift. And yeah, Brandon got around Tift very well. We got around Berry Hill okay. Yeah, it's just going to come down to when these guys decide to pit. So I'll keep this high lane open just in case I need to bail. But we should catch Tiff on the front stretch, which is ideal. We don't lose any corner speed, and we should be able to... Oh, come on, Tiff. I thought we'd be able to clear him going into turn 1, but we can dive bomb him, let the car slide up to that second groove, catch the car, but Brandon is sticking right to the bottom and making very good passes here. It's like he is much faster in traffic than we are, but he's getting blocked down to the white line by Ty Dillon, and if he's pitting, which indeed he was, that could have been big if Ty had hooked Brandon right there. But I imagine these cars are going to pit this time, so I will keep on the second groove whenever we get around to turn 3 and 4, but that is going to hurt my overall speed trying to keep the high lane around these guys if Brandon can hook the bottom. If we're lucky, they might be too wide in front of him. He is taking the high lane to give those guys some space, and we will follow his line around. It looks like Alex Bowman is staying out, and there the entire pack, aside from Newman, Bowman, and one other car coming down to pit road. Brandon gets around Ryan Newman. I was hoping Newman might put up a little bit better fight than he did. We definitely want to catch Newman on the straight, and that could be the leader out in front of Brandon right there. That kind of looks like Denny Hamlin. It looked like a white car. And here comes Newman down to pit road, so we don't have to worry about fighting him. But that indeed is the time we have lost right there, and it's going to be very difficult to reel in Brandon that much over the course of this race without a caution, which happened in Phoenix. But with everyone running single file, I don't think anyone is feeling antsy enough to bring one out. There's always an engine failure or a debris caution for sure. I think if we could get to his back bumper, we would have something for him, but the pit road exit and getting through traffic set us apart right there for sure. And I don't see any other cars either on pit road or on the racetrack. I don't know if they took 4 tires or perhaps they took fuel only and they've staggered. There they are right there. So I don't know if those cars are going to pose much of a problem. They are pretty strung out. We are catching Brandon just a bit though. We are reeling him in. If we had gotten a better launch off of pit road, I think we'd really have something for him, although Brandon could be taking care of his tires, knowing that we're back here. He doesn't need to run 100% like we're trying to haul the mail here. The lap's winding down, doing everything we can here. It'll be a well-deserved win for either one of us, I think. But really reeling him in here. Catch that line. If Brandon bobbles, if he gets out of the groove, we can be right there. We'll give it everything we got because we're not racing again until February, so we need to lay it all on the table here. Hopefully the modders will make the 2020 cars, the models. If not, I'm sure painters can do the 2020 car set with these particular chassis. Might not be a bad thing. They'll definitely have to get on the horse for 2021 with the new car, the new generation car. So we'll see what happens at that time. Good. Well, I thought Chastain was going to hold him up. Chastain holding the second groove. Brandon fighting to get around. Now we have to get around Boyer and Chastain cleanly. And Boyer is trying to pass Chastain, blocking the bottom. But Boyer will get around Chastain, so will we. We didn't lose any time there. And if we can get that pull off Boyer, we should be okay. The guy decides to block halfway down the straightaway. Good thing Boyer is running that second groove. We're hooking the white line. We can go right around with minimal effort. Really pick it up here. We've gained. I mean, I think we've chopped the lead he had in half. I don't know if we're going to run out of time, but we are going to pack it in and give it everything we got. Car's starting to wash up just a bit. White flag is in the air for Brandon. If Jeffrey Earnhardt gives him the raw deal, that might be cool. Nope, Jeffrey will run the second groove. We're going to power through. We need to get around Jeffrey as clean as we can. Nope. We tried to hold the throttle as hard as we could to carry that speed. That's everything we had. I don't think we could have got Brandon really loose trying to make something happen. So ladies and gentlemen, Brandon will come across the line for his 15th win this year, and he will take the championship for the first time since we've been racing. So bragging rights for Brandon for the next 12 months, and well-deserved as well. It's not like he lucked into it. He won Martinsville in Texas and probably should have won Phoenix too. But let's go ahead and take a look at your top 10, especially your two other championship drivers, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin here, and we'll see where they finished. So obviously, Brandon takes the win. We finish in second. Denny Hamlin finishes in 19th place. Ouch. And Kyle Busch finishes in 13th. So neither one of our competition finish inside the top 10. Oof. But 10th place was Martin Truex Jr. 9th place was Ryan Newman. 8th place, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 7th place, Chase Elliott. Good run for him. 6th place, Kevin Harvick. 5th place, Joey Logano. 4th place, Eric Almirola. 3rd place, Brad Keselowski. Of course, we were in second, and Brandon took the checkered flag. So let's go down to the celebration. So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, the 27 car of Brandon in that wreckingandracing.com podcast. Toyota has got the championship. I think he and I will try the Ryan Blaney Chase Elliott maneuver, where we're going to put our noses together and just see what kind of power we got. Yeah, TV2 should be good. 1, 2, 3. Come on, let's go. There we go. Oh, Brandon was a little slow on the upkeep, but there we go, ladies and gentlemen. If you have tuned in to every race this year, oh, looks like he's on the break. If you tuned in to every race this year, thank you so much. These donuts are for you and your continued support of this series. We look forward to seeing you in February next year for sure. But until then, like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next NASCAR Racing 2003 season video. Take care.